tonight on Elon Local News.
100 years of Veterans Day. What veterans in Alamance County are remembering today?
In our final installment of our three-part series, one woman who was taking a stand against a policy that failed her late daughter.
And twin telepathy, two brothers using their relationship on the football field.
Those stories and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Ray.
And I'm Maeve Ashbrook.
Tonight, 3 new suspected cases of MUMPS have been reported. According to Vice President for Student Life, John Dooley, there are no new confirmed cases at this time. After weeks of these messages, students are still concerned. Here's what some had to say about Dooley's updates.
Do you get John Dooley's emails?
I do.
Do you read them?
I do.
Sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, I do read them, yes.
Okay. Are you following the situation with the MUMPS?
I am. I mean, it seems like it's getting worse, but...
I'm not scared of it, but someone in one of my classes was one of the confirmed cases.
I already got the other 2. Okay. And if they're not even like 100% effective, I don't know. I'm just careful. I wash my hands and stuff. I think it'll be fine.
I mean, vaccinations do what they can, so... Seems like it's in with good hands.
There will be another drop-in MMR vaccination clinic this Wednesday at 2 p.m. in Alumni Gym. Students can get their vaccination until 6 p.m. or until the supply runs out.
IDF. These 3 letters stand for Israeli Defense Forces, and tonight 2 former soldiers will be speaking at Elon. Dor Mogulyansky and Lieutenant Aviv Yasmin Bar will be discussing their time in the IDF. Our Lauren Singles has more.
Forces such as the IDF are controversial amongst different groups. Due to the nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, both sides have strong support. Elon senior Candace Hall has spent extended time in Israel. She supports the Israeli forces and asks students to keep an open mind when learning about the controversy.
I definitely do support the IDF and just what I've seen personally and how they care for their civilians.
Hall, who lived in Israel with a family whose sons were IDF soldiers, disagrees with media portrayals that claim the IDF fires willingly on civilians.
They want to make sure that the people that they're firing on are active insurgents who are trying to harm Israel.
Elon sophomore Hiba Cherokee takes the opposite position, instead supporting the Free Palestine movement.
I personally I'm not really a fan of the IDF.
Growing up with friends and family who supported the Free Palestine movement affected her views.
One of my childhood friends, she's actually Palestinian. Her family had to move to Egypt when she was about 5 years old because the IDF was basically attacking her area and had killed people that she grew up with.
Despite this, Cherokee thinks it's important to respect all perspectives. However, she doesn't know if IDF soldiers were the best choice. Lauren Singles, Elon Local News.
The soldiers will be in Linder Hall, room 208 at 7:30 tonight.
Today is the 100th observance of Veterans Day in the U.S. Our Margaret Faust took a look at how the Alamance County Veterans Services remembers this patriotic holiday.
Pride. Yeah, I would say pride in your country.
This is what former combat medic Diane Dotson felt on Saturday morning when she lined up for the Veterans Day Parade in Graham. The Veterans Office in Graham has been putting on this parade for 6 years now. Tammy Crawford is the director of Veterans Services in Alamance County. She says over 100 veterans were registered to be in the parade, and anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people were proud spectators.
So many look forward to this event each year, and we're just so proud of it.
Crawford's team starts planning for this event right after Memorial Day, organizing the Graham Police Department, Alamance County employees, churches, and many local and national nonprofit organizations to participate in the parade. To her, getting veterans the benefits they need makes the hard work worth it.
It's just like a miracle when they get awarded a benefit from VA, and we're part of that. It blesses our life every day.
Air Force veteran Dave Beckley remembers coming home from Desert Storm as overwhelming.
And when we came home, all the major networks were there to greet us, and it was a pretty awesome adventure to go through.
Beckley says the Veterans Center helps his re-entry into society, and for that he is grateful. Participating in this parade is how he says thank you.
A way to pay back for some of the things that they have done for us. and it doesn't cost us anything to do it other than some time.
Similarly, Dotson says the parade unites the community.
It's a wonderful experience. We wish everybody would come out and enjoy themselves and just enjoy the fellowship.
Margaret Faust, Elon Local News.
The Alamance County Veterans Assistance provides compensation, health care, and vocational rehabilitation, among other services, to local veterans.
Coming up, how one student is raising awareness of homelessness in Alamance County.
Will this warm weather stick around? Stay tuned for the Phoenix 5-day forecast when we come back.
We first introduced you to Jessica Jordan 2 weeks ago. We told you she overdosed last May after battling an opioid addiction. What we didn't tell you is she also had a daughter. Before she died, she lost custody, making her ineligible for Medicaid, a federal health care program for low-income individuals. Jessica's mother says expanding the program in North Carolina could have saved Jessica's life. Liam Collins reports, wrapping up our 3-part series pinpointing the opioid epidemic.
Nobody wants anybody to live through the pain of losing a child. It's unnatural. It shouldn't happen.
Since Robin Jordan's daughter Jessica overdosed last year, she's been fighting to make sure it wasn't in vain.
I can't go back and change things for Jessica. Can't make that any different than it is. But I can possibly keep that from happening to the next person.
Making all the difference to the family Jessica left behind, her parents, siblings, and a 4-year-old daughter. Jessica lost custody when her daughter was only 2 years old, making her ineligible for Medicaid, a federal health care program covering low-income individuals who can prove need.
Just because she didn't have a dependent child in her home did not mean that she was not sick.
The state could expand the program to include any low-income individual regardless of need. North Carolina is one of just 14 states that hasn't done so.
Right now, the federal government covers about 2/3 of the cost of Medicaid, leaving the other third of the cost to the states that choose to expand it. And while new Medicaid enrollees are expected to be covered under the original promise of 90%, a conservative policy group in Raleigh is saying that's just putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem.
Cost is the least of our worries when you consider how this threatens access to care.
Bayer says adding 500,000 people who would qualify after expanding the program wouldn't necessarily add more doctors.
You have these people that are currently on Medicaid that need to be able to find doctors to see them, and that's going to make it harder for them if we expand.
But even as the sun sets on yet another day without Jessica Jordan, her mother says she'll continue to keep her memory alive.
There's not a minute of a day that I don't wish things had been very different. And, you know, she's still part of our lives. She's still our daughter. She's still my children's sibling. She's still our granddaughter's mother. And, you know, as Christians, we believe we'll see her again one day.
Liam Collins, Elon Local News.
Jordan says she is working with Graham High School to open a scholarship in Jessica's name and to create a nonprofit called Jessica's Warmth. The group will hand out winter clothing to the homeless.
Today is the first day of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week here at Elon, and tonight is the Faces of Homelessness panel. The event is put on by the Coronado Center for Service Learning and Community Engagement and Campus Kitchen. Elon Senior and Director of Campus Kitchen, Paola Kalb, says it's easy to take home and food security for granted on Elon's campus. She hopes panelists can burst the Elon bubble when they share their real-world experience with students.
You're not going to walk away from it sad. Hopefully you walk away from it with a more grounded, realistic perspective, but also empowered in the sense of knowing what solutions there are and how you as an individual can help promote those solutions.
The panel tonight starts at 7:30 in McKinnon Hall. Campus Kitchen is also hosting the 5-for-1 food drive this week. From now until Friday at lunch, students can take 5 canned goods to any dining hall on campus in exchange for a free meal.
And now our Kyra O'Connor is live under the Oaks with your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Kyra?
Thanks, Maeve and Brian. On my walk to class this afternoon, it was almost like a flashback to summer. It was 70 degrees, sunny, but unfortunately heading into the week, it does not seem like this warm weather is sticking around. Those fall temperatures are falling fast. Tomorrow will be a high of 53 and a low of 22 with rain in the forecast. On Wednesday, it will be sunny with a high of 43, and Thursday will be mostly cloudy with a high of 48 and a low of 37. So I would get out your boots, gloves, and hats. Heading into the weekend, you may want to plan for time inside. AM showers are expected on Friday with a high of 55 and a low of 32 degrees. So I'd get out your rain boots. Saturday will be cloudy with a high of 46 and a low of 29 degrees. Heading into Thanksgiving break, it's going to be quite chilly at Elon. And that's your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kyra. Well, Maeve, I don't know how I'm feeling about this colder weather coming.
I'm actually excited because today I wore my Uggs to class. So
You
that
did? I
was
saw
really
you in your Uggs.
Yes, which I feel like is a sign of the winter months. Not that I'm excited for the winter weather necessarily, but the fashion.
Yeah, a true sign. I think you're ushering in that winter
Yes,
weather
it's like,
with your
let's
Uggs.
go. All right. And after the break, how international students are celebrating Thanksgiving early.
And football family takes a literal meaning. Find out more after the break.
Caitlin Rundle joins us with your sport updates. Caitlin?
This weekend was the final Phoenix home football game, as well as Senior Day. The Phoenix said thank you to its 23 graduating members, 2 of which share more in common than the other members of the team. I talked to twin brothers Eric and Ryan Whitehead about what their football journey has been like. Ryan and Eric Whitehead share a lot of similarities, from looking the same to playing the same sport. They've been playing football together since they were freshmen in high school.
I made the decision that I wanted to come to Elon first, and then Eric kind of just went through what was best for him, and he also said Elon, so it worked out great.
The brothers said that the hardest part of coming to college together was sharing a room, but that didn't save the brothers from being, well, brothers.
I wanted to switch roommates after freshman year, but our mom kind of made us because it would have been a lot easier.
We would share one car.
I know, that's why it was easier. But I wasn't thinking that, I just didn't want to live with you anymore. After, 19 years, I kind of got tired of it.
On the field, the brothers seem to have some sort of twin telepathy, but this power doesn't come without consequences.
People call me Eric a lot.
But the team does work around it.
Now they just kind of yell our last name and try to see which one looks first.
This weekend was Elon football's Senior Day and marked the brothers' last home game that they will ever play together.
When that clock hits 0, then we'll be like, oh snap, that's our last game at this place we've trained at, we've played for the past 5 years, so definitely be emotional.
We didn't know if we were coming back last year, and we had that feeling again last year. So to actually know that it's definitely going to be a crazy feeling.
Besides spending almost 9 years around each other, the brothers are ready to see what happens next.
It's going to be an exciting opportunity to see who we are away from each other.
I guess after a few weeks of him being gone, I'll still be down here. I guess I'll miss him a little bit. But,
Caitlin Rundle?
I'll see him a few times a year.
Elon Local News. Ryan Whitehead will be graduating in December and will go to work in Virginia. Eric says when he graduates, he'll be looking for coaching jobs to continue his involvement with football. But it wasn't just the last game for the Twins. The Phoenix Fanatics also put up their red tent on Saturday for the last time. The Fanatics ended the football season with a tailgate with Pandora's Pies and a cornhole tournament to benefit local boys and girls clubs. This Saturday was also the last football tailgate for senior Jake Young, the founder of the Fanatics. He said that no matter where he is next year, the student section will be in his heart on college Saturdays.
I think I'll be thinking about, this over here, not setting up the red tent and just missing everyone. And it'll be bittersweet again. But, I'm looking forward to seeing where this program goes and where this organization goes.
Sad this is his last year, he knows that the Fanatics is in good hands of the younger members.
They're really passionate. They don't care what anyone thinks of them at games. They just let go and have fun, and that's what our mission is.
Football will have its last regular season game against Towson on November 23rd, and cross country will run in the Southeast Regional Championship this Thursday the 15th in Virginia. Fall sports are wrapping up, making way for basketball season. For updates on those games, check out our Twitter page at Elon News Network and at SportsENN. Brian and Maeve, back to you.
Thanks, Caitlin. What a great story about those brothers.
It was interesting talking to them too. They both have just very different personalities, but they were also very similar at the same time. I mean, you saw how the one guy was towering over the other brother. One of them was obviously bigger than the other one.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Thanksgiving is just a few weeks away, but for 7% of the student body, the holiday isn't celebrated at home. I spent some time at the International Student Friendsgiving, where the true message of the holiday is spread. Take a look.
I knew what it was just because of like movies, but and I know they eat turkey, but that's it.
Elon sophomore and Sweden native Victoria Sald is preparing for her second Thanksgiving in the U.S. With the majority of students talking about going home and seeing family, Sald says it can be tough.
It wouldn't matter because nobody even knows it's that day because we don't celebrate it. But like here, I feel like you're not supposed to be alone that day.
Every year, the international student community comes together for Friendsgiving. International Student Ambassador Caitlin Welby says the event shows students that going home for Thanksgiving isn't the only way to celebrate the holiday.
Everyone should be able to have a time where they can sit down with their friends and really just enjoy their company.
Everyone gets a taste of the holiday: mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and of course, turkey. But Welby says there's more to the holiday than the food.
A lot of times you wonder, why are we cutting a turkey and eating it on Thanksgiving? Like, what does that even mean? And just to get that background and really understand that there's so much more than just the day.
Whether you're from Sweden or New Jersey, the message of Thanksgiving rings true for everyone.
Being able to share time with one another.
Show how thankful you are for the people you're close with.
Sald says she wishes she could go home over Thanksgiving, but is looking forward to going back to Sweden for Christmas. For more on this story, pick up a copy of The Pendulum this Wednesday.
Coming up, how a new hobby ended up changing one woman's life.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Upside Aerial is located just 10 minutes from campus, and while circus arts might seem daunting, it changed one woman's life. Amanda Gibson reports.
So to say, yeah, I'm going to give up my pharmacy career that I trained for 8 years and put all this money into and then all this time into, to teach people to hang from fabric from the ceiling, it's kind of like, that's nuts.
Owner of Upside Aerial Silks, Michelle Spurlock, says she first started Aerial at her yoga studio.
The moment I tried it, I was completely hooked. I was like, wow, this is this magical thing.
Which led her to change her whole life, from a pharmacist to a silks instructor. But exercising in any form wasn't something that came to her naturally. As a child with debilitating asthma, she didn't find herself very active.
I mean, it was the kind of thing where even if I laughed too hard, I would have an asthma attack. I felt so fragile and just betrayed by my body. Like, it just I couldn't even breathe. So finding this and finding that I could actually do it completely changed my self-perception.
Spurlock says her personal experience of finding silks is what inspired her to open her own studio, to help inspire other adults.
People who are overweight, when you get people who are much older, and there's no way I can do this. And then you keep teaching them and they keep coming back and they get it. And it's like, it's the most magical thing ever.
Spurlock says watching her 60-year-old client, Andy Hunt, has been a teacher's dream.
I like exercise, but I like fun exercise, so I get tired of lifting weights and all the traditional things, and this is totally different, and it was a big challenge. So
it has completely changed his self-perception, and it's something that really he identifies with as being an aerialist now, as a 60-year-old man. That's pretty awesome.
Amanda Gibson, Elon Local News.
Upside Aerial offers classes weekly, and clients range from 12 to 72 years old.
The real-life Elephant Man may have died more than 100 years ago, but his legacy lives on through theater. Our Katie Norman has the story.
Student-run theater group Renegade Productions is putting on yet another show this semester called Elephant Man. Elephant Man is a play based on the true story of John Merrick, a man so physically deformed he was displayed as a circus sideshow attraction for many years. BFA acting major Daniel Skinner is excited to take on the role of director for the first time and has fallen in love with the mysteries behind this story.
Yeah, fun fact, his name's actually Joseph Merrick, but the surgeon, when he was writing his memoir, changed it to John. We don't know why, but I think it's an example of how people tried to force him to be something that he wasn't.
Yakov Schwartzberg plays Surgeon Frederick Treves, who took Merrick in during the later half of his life and who wrote the biography of Joseph Merrick that the play is based on.
Working on a character who has these historical aspects to it
it gives you a starting point in your preparation for the show. So I was able to read parts of his books, find just like letters he's written. That was a really fun part, was to take the reality and find where there were holes in the history and fill in the gaps.
Christine Wanda plays John Merrick himself, and she tells us what is so special about this version of the Elephant Man.
I think the audience will find this specific version of the Elephant Man really interesting. Usually, the Elephant Man himself is played by a white man. This time it's being played by a really fierce black woman. And I think that's such an incredible concept because John Merrick is someone who is discriminated against, and the only reason why he's being discriminated against is because of his physical attributes, which is something that any marginalized minority person can relate to. So I think it's really special that a black woman is playing a role that usually a white man would portray. I feel like I can connect to the character a lot better than a white man could, you know?
Katie Norman, Elon Local News.
Elephant Man will be showing in the Black Box Theater at the Performing Arts Center on November 12th and 16th at 7:30, and November 13th at 8:30, and November 17th at noon. Admission is free with anyone with a Phoenix card.
You have 2 more days left to register for classes. One course you may have not heard about is the Zen meditation class. For the 20th year, students in this class will participate in daily meditation practices, including silent walks and dinners. The pinnacle of this course is a 4-day intensive retreat that forces students to practice the meditation they've learned. Professor Anthony Weston says the retreat is a transformative experience.
People come back and go, whoa, everything's different. And it's just reflecting on that is an interesting thing. It's a way of attending to how we are in the world anyway, in a certain sense. So there's a saying in Buddhism that everyone's already enlightened, except we don't know it yet.
Junior Thomas Vivona took the Zen meditation class his freshman year and encourages others looking to improve themselves to give it a try.
I wasn't worried about classes. I didn't know what major I wanted to do. And this was something that I just thought would improve myself and I could really take no matter what, where I went with my life.
If you're interested in this course, contact Professor Weston or search Philosophy 352 on OnTrack.